Okay, we are live. That one little click, I always feel like it should be, a bigger, hey, we're live, and there should be like drums or something. But we're live, and we're going to give everyone an opportunity to get logged in. You can see the participant number growing there. As always, use your chat box and reach out and tell us, where you're coming in from and tell us hello. I'm really excited about the conversation this week. We've talked with receptive tour operators and domestic tour operators, and now we're talking to specific groups and markets. And I think that that's going to give us even a deeper dive into the knowledge that we need to create our own programs moving forward. So Floyd, good to see you again from Colorado Springs. And Sherry from Flagstaff, they are on every single one of our calls, so it's great to see them.
Hi, hello, Floyd. It's Romeo. How are you?
Right. It's nice to see all of the names that we're used to seeing several times throughout the year. It makes me feel more connected. The whole point of doing these webinars.
Hello, Jeffrey.
Alfredo Gonzalez, nice to see your name, my friend. Lisa from Denver also has been on all of our calls, so it's nice to see everyone coming in.
Yeah.
So this week, obviously, everyone knows the people in front of us here. You guys are well known in the industry. We're talking about Japan and that particular market and inbound business and maybe how the market shifted a little bit. So I'm really excited to get into this conversation. But first, I have to thank Betsy Cooper and Tour Operator Land, as always, who's been our sponsor for all of our webinars and able to keep us connected and continue to do these throughout the months, week after week. This is 21, 22 as far as webinars that we've been doing since the end of March. And the things that have been consistent through all of these webinars is, how do I stay in touch? How do I help? How do I get information in front of the tour operators? And talk with Betsy about it, talk with me about it. We've created a new program, social marketing, digital marketing, that will be able to get that information through Tour Operator Land in front of all of the operators in our database and everyone that we've talked about and talked with, whether it be your certification programs for your destinations or attractions, or some of the new things you're putting into place in the age that we live in right now. Give us a call and talk to us about it. We're really excited to launch this and to even keep us connected further than we already are through these webinars. So what I'd like to do is get started, because this hour goes by very quickly, and I know that you have lots of questions. We've already gotten some through email, so thank you for that. And as always, please use the Q&A box if you can. We're going to monitor the chat box as well, but Q&A keeps everything in one place so we can get to them as quickly as possible. So without further ado, I'm going to let our panel introduce themselves and talk a little bit about their company and what their focus is. And Romeo, let's start with you.
Okay, good morning, everyone. I see some names that I know. Fortunately, I can see your face, but thank you very much for having us as a guest for your panel today. My name is Romeo Dublin, and I'm with Nippon Travel Agency. I'm actually the outgoing GM. I'm returning to Japan end of this month. And along with me is Mr. Uchida, who is my successor. He's been here since March, mid-March, but unfortunately due to this scary virus pandemic, we've been working out of home. Today we came in for this meeting. So we're in the office, we're only two of us here. And I just wanted to introduce you, just a little company overview. Nippon Travel Agency is the oldest travel agency in Japan. We started in 1905 November. So this is our 115th year. Can you imagine that? A long time. And we have an employees of about 5,016 up to date, 5,061, sorry. And then we started overseas from Hawaii in 1966. So we did celebrate our 50th year in 2015. We do have, our headquarters is in Tokyo. Domestic branch offices, we have like 94 locations in the major cities. Overseas travel branch is 22 locations across 12 countries. And also our stockholder, main stockholder will be the West Japan Railway Company. They hold about 86 to 87% of our stock. So we have a very good back. And also, yeah, we've been in business for a long time. And I wanted to introduce you to Mr. Uchida before we go to Mr. Koseki of TTA. Uchida-san.
Okay, nice to meet you. My name is Uchida. I just transferred from the Singapore. I live in Singapore for 6 years and working with the NTA Singapore. And I've been transferred here at the middle of the March. But in this situation, now I couldn't start my business yet. So just I want to join for this one and know how the US situation is. So thank you very much. I hope to enjoy this seminar. Thank you.
We're so glad you're here. Welcome. We look forward to working with you.
Thank you so much. I just want to learn for how the US situation is. Thank you.
And Toshi.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Toshi Koseki. I've been transferred from Japan this January, so I'm new as well. If I introduce about my company, our company in US is called TTA. It stands for Tobu Top Tours America, actually. Tobu Top Tours is based on, it's like NTA, quite the same, but we are based on railway company called Tobu Railways in Japan. And we have about nearly 111 offices in Japan, 2,500 colleagues working. In the USA, the company Tobu started in 1956, so it's much older than NTA, but much newer than NTA. But in the USA, it's 1964. We started in LA, Los Angeles. Our head office is in Torrance, California, which is very close to Los Angeles. And we have 4 offices: New York office, San Francisco, Los Angeles, and Honolulu. If you can see the picture down below, the inbound division, inbound, there's a spelling mistake, but yes, we do outbounds and inbounds, domestic travel in US or outside anywhere in the world. But today I am from Los Angeles office, and we do inbound and outbounds both. So we do travel, we do take care of Japanese travelers coming to the US. Yes, so TTA is about 50 employees in total, but today I'd like to focus on the inbound, which New York office, Los Angeles office, and Honolulu office is taking care of. Our product is basically, I think the difference between NTA and other travel agency from Japan is that we do, basically we do group travels and MICE travels and like school trips. So unfortunately, we do not basically take care of FITs or package tours like the other travel agency does. So it is normally we do tailor-made or customized tours, and the requests are for those from those 111 offices from our office in Japan, and about 2,500 colleagues. So that's a short, brief message from me. Thank you.
Wonderful. So I love that we have a mix of product here inbound into the U.S. How are things right now? You know, the question everyone is curious about, and I see both of your offices are in Torrance, and Debbie from Torrance is here, so she's saying hi to everyone. But you know, what have you had reschedules? Have you had cancellations? Have you been able to push those rescheduled groups into 2021? You know, just kind of what's the climate? What's the environment right now, Romeo, with NTA?
We had a lot of cancellations, obviously, because of the situation here in the United States. The COVID situation, hasn't dropped down. So of course, the travelers to Japan are very worried. I forgot to mention, but we do groups and FIT. The ratio on that is group is 60%, 40% on the FIT side. We also have an outbound department here. Anyways, in the group ratio, we do about, I would say, close to 40% of the group ratio are student groups. And student groups are very, very, how you say, sensitive. The schools are very sensitive about, this virus. So we did have a lot of group actually up until the end of this year, December. Most of them had canceled. We have 2 or 3 left right now out of the year. So you can imagine how much business we've lost. I mean, everybody lost a lot of business, but those 2 groups are still willing to come to the United States. And we're trying to find a way that they're able to travel here. But one scary thing is California's numbers are up again. And there are groups that has been extended to 2021. And we are still receiving, not as many as we used to, but the new inquiries for 2021 and 2022. And most of the inquiries are related to educational groups. So what I would say is, unless this new cases drops, it's going to be very difficult for the Japanese travelers to actually come back to the United States.
Understandable. And Toshi, how have bookings and the opportunity to reschedule been going for you?
I think it's quite the same with the NTA. Yes, we had many groups till this year. We were hoping it's a very good year, but yes, canceled. Everything the group started canceling in February, and then it went on and on and on. Most of the groups were finished canceling by April, I think I should say. So our jobs, tasks were mostly doing negotiation or canceling or postponing. There was some postponed in fall, but unfortunately, for the moment, there's only one group still not canceled, other all being canceled, very unfortunately. We are, and Japan, because our customers, our sales are all in Japan. When Japan was having emergency acts, like stay at home, our colleagues were not working. So when they started working, that was in June, I guess. I think that was in June. We started to pick up some quotation inquiries, but that was, unfortunately, that's the earliest one is like February next year. So nothing for this year. That's the current situation. Very difficult, but that's the reality.
And reality is what we need right now. We need to know what's going on so we can make a plan to move forward. So knowing that the offices are open again and you're starting to get some requests and quotes for 2021, have you seen a difference in destination? And that's actually one of the questions that we have from Cheryl from the Marani Group, Hotel Group in Niagara Falls. Her question is, knowing that major gateway destinations are having some of the challenges right now with the increased cases, and it's generally the #1 gateway for international travelers coming in, are Japanese travelers open to the idea to try new cities, smaller cities, maybe the gateway and beyond? Or smaller attractions that generally maybe they don't go and get to see when they come in. Have you seen a shift in requests for maybe not the urban area, but for more of a rural area?
With NTA, we haven't seen that yet.
Okay.
It's kind of a standstill right now. And as Toshi had mentioned that, after June, we started receiving very few requests and what have you. But getting back to what we spoke about earlier, I just wanted to mention also that since we do FIT, the FIT business is in a standstill as well. They had canceled selling the FIT until the end of September. They keep extending, like every 15 days or so. So right now, most of the FITs are canceled up until the end of September right now. And getting back to your question, no, we haven't seen anything. I don't know with Toshi, but with us, we haven't.
Toshi, you haven't really seen that shift either?
No, we haven't seen those changes, but I think that can happen. I mean, I think that, well, I think we're going to talk about this later on, should be, but the priority will be the safe, how they feel safe. So if there's a fascinating destination, but it's not safe, people will not go there. So travel, like, well, it depends. I think that can happen, and optimistically, I think well, not just Japanese, but everyone likes new things. So new destination, new product is always welcome. That's my opinion. That's what I think.
And since you brought up new product, and are you taking this time to look at the tours that you're providing, or the attractions, and maybe looking and looking for new product? Are you looking for new ideas? I'm sure everyone on the panel is sitting up waiting for this answer so they can send you information if you are.
Uchida-san, you want to answer that?
So Toshi, are you looking for new destinations, new attractions, new activities? So
far, not right now with the quotations that we're receiving, because they normally select, the destination is already selected by them, or
okay. So
it's not like it's not like maybe FIT that they ask a question like, we have a week, what do you recommend, what's your recommendation?
Right.
I think the plan is there, and we try to customize it, or we tailor-made it. But however, I think, well, what I said about new is that destination, if there's any recommendation, that's always welcome. And then we can present that on top of, like, as an excursions or something like that.
Okay. Okay. So always receiving new product is something that you'd like to do to learn a little bit more about what's out there.
Yes,
and Romeo, are you looking at maybe some of the destinations you've used in the past and looking for new products?
Yeah, they're kind of like reviewing it right now, for the destinations that we've used, like example, like Philadelphia area, Colorado. But more so with the group side, online business is what the Japanese, are looking for right now, So we're looking into more like an online program, so to speak. We've actually submitted some recently, and hopefully, I don't know how that's gonna really work out, but we can actually be at the place where we want to be. So it has to be visualization, they call it what, digitalization is what's gonna happen after Corona or during Corona. That's gonna be the big change. And as Toshi mentioned, safety is number one, no matter what. Safety and the support at wherever we're gonna be traveling to is very, very important. JADA just had a meeting last week, and they were talking about it. And, they really stressed out that safety has to come first before anything. So any safe areas, that we're able to promote, that would be a good way of, like showing the Japanese locals about it. And I think, we can go on from there. But,
absolutely. So how do you promote that to your clients? And everyone on the call here has done everything from, great certification programs. Like Nashville has a great certification program for their partners and within the destination. Palm Beach as well. So a lot of destinations have created a certification and information on their websites or webinars or videos to kind of prove what they're doing within the attraction hotel. How do you get that across to your clients to make them feel comfortable?
Well, first of all, like right now it's limited to all the salespeople that's actually going to see the clients. They have to make appointments, and it's not like before Corona. It's difficult for them actually to go and see their client. So everything is pretty much through online. So I think our sales people now, they try to take some kind of informations that they can just visualize and show to their client. And I think that's the only way we could actually do it. For the CBB people, they have offices in Japan. I don't know if they still do right now. They go through the agent in Japan, and they're actually connecting with travel agencies, like NTA, TTA, JTB, our competitors, and they go through them, to show what they want to promote. And before it was much easier, but right now it's more difficult because we don't see the people actually, so everything's pretty much online, like you mentioned about the webinar and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they're doing a lot of that, especially in Japan right now, I mean, not only Japan, maybe throughout the world. So
Absolutely. I think
I don't know if that answers your question, but yeah, it's really difficult to just meet one-on-one and, try to promote it. It's more like this, like we're talking right now.
Exactly. I think we're all ready to meet one-on-one again.
Mm-hmm.
Toshi, is there information that makes your travelers or your clients feel more comfortable? Is there something they're looking for? Is it just cleanliness? Is it just sanitization? Or there are other items that are important to them?
I think, well, as Romeo said, safety comes first. But I think the main thing I wanted to let everyone know, from as an opinion that I wanted to ask everyone, is that it makes a difference, not just following the guidelines of the safetiness or cleanliness, but you show them how you present to the customers or the travelers is important. As Shari said, it's important how you tell them, right? Because this is what I thought talking today is that there's 3 examples that I felt it's safe. I went to Target. Everyone goes to Target. Everyone knows it, right? And then I did the self-checkout. Right after that, I finished my checkout, payment. The staff right there started wiping out the screens. Clean all the places I've touched. That normally it looks, you might feel like I'm not dirty. Why are you doing that for me? But in this particular case, I felt safe that they clean right away. After that, I do. So it's a good presentation that they do that, right? In the other supermarkets, you need a trolley to buy something. You go to get trolleys. There's no one there. Or in supermarket A, in supermarket B, you go there, in the entrance, there's a gentleman who's always wiping the supermarket handles or the cleaning it, and then giving that trolley to the customer with a smile. That's a very good service, and I feel safe. The other is, like, I went to the dentist on Monday. When I finished my payment, I was going out and I was going to touch the doorknob. Steel virus kept there for 5 days or so. But on the door, there's a message saying, after you leave this, we will clean everyone's, after everyone leaves, we will clean the doorknob. There was a message there. We know, or we assume, but it's much easier if it's there and clear. I think that's what Japanese like, attention to details, or something, well, in Japanese culture is like, it's better that you understand what he or she wants to say without saying, but it's always now, I think it's important that it's clear, written, and then highlighted. That's what I
Very
want to
clear
say.
messaging. Yes, I agree. And I think it's interesting. You've been here since January, and Shunji, you've been here since March. So coming into the U.S., is there something that makes you feel more comfortable being out and about and going outside?
Actually, yes, I just moved down from the Singapore side. The Singapore's the hygiene level is quite, high. I mean, every supermarket, you have to go inside, you have to scan for the barcode, and the government has been traced, where they go. It's very really strict. That feels, that makes us comfortable, we are protected from the government, So, but when I came to here for the America, I saw that many people is not wearing the mask, even for the resident, So, so that case, I'm a normal, typical Japanese. So in Japan, when we're going to the winter or something, everyone is wearing the mask. So wearing the mask is one kind of the custom. So the people who is the corona pandemic right now, I was really wondering why the people not wearing the mask. So I think yes, it's really difficult for everyone to be wearing the mask. I know, but sure, all this kind of the situation is going to be not changed. I think the Japanese feels not comfortable to come to US.
Understandable. I mean, and I think that's something that we've seen across all markets is clear messaging, cleanliness, wearing masks, and I think that's an important message that we're all getting out. I'm going to come back. I'm going to circle back to your tours for a moment and maybe how you're planning them moving into next year. Elaine Kellogg has a great question. Curious if you're rethinking itineraries for your groups next year and adding in more free time for the guests instead of scheduling each individual activity. Are you giving them more free time on their own? Is that something, and Toshi, why don't you take that one first? Is it something that you've thought about as you're thinking about itineraries next year, rather than scheduling every minute of the itinerary, offering more free time for maybe self-guided tours?
I think, well, it's a good question, but it's a difficult question. I think, well, it depends on each group. As we take care of basically groups, but I think, well, Japanese, if the group of from Japan comes and then there's an organizer who's controlling everything, they keep safety very first. So if I just hear about the free time, there's a risk that it's not going to be under control. So that might be something comes after. In the beginning, I think that everything might be scheduled and taken under control.
And that's very interesting because and for this market in particular, and that's why we want to meet with tour operators from all different markets. Is we met with UK operators last week, and they wanted to add more free time. To them, it was okay. So we'll have some self-guided, and they can go and open spaces and kind of do things on their own. So it's very interesting the difference there.
I think especially as Romeo said, the student trips. I mean, parents or everyone, they're relying on the school. School cannot make mistakes.
Right.
If there's someone, if they make a free time, someone gets affected, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
We're
No
done.
one wants that. No one wants
Understandable.
that.
Understandable. Romeo, the same for you?
Yeah, same. And then I just wanted to add one thing. You know, Japanese. I guess it's customary that they have a number of days already preset, especially for the students. Other groups as well. They don't really have, so to speak, free time. You know, and they like to set everything. You know, everything has to be scheduled. And then if they say turn right, you got to turn right. You turn left, turn left. You know, that's how, you know, the Japanese people schedule their itinerary. You know,
For
plus
both students
they have
and
very
adults?
I'm sorry.
For both students and adults?
Yeah, the same pretty much. Yeah, a lot of free time maybe with FIT.
Okay.
They're here for 5 days. Maybe out of the 5 days, but 3 days they're free to go on optional tours and what have you. For groups, it's totally different. Like Toshi mentioned that the organizer sets everything. He sends the request over to us, and then we decide. We decide what we gonna schedule based on what their requests are. And pretty much their requests are all filled in. You know, they want to do everything on that certain day. Sometimes it's very difficult because we can't preset everything in that itinerary. And as Toshi mentioned, safety first. If anything happens to any of the students, we are liable for it, and that's the end of us. I hate to say this, but it's true. You know, so I don't know. I mean, yeah, maybe along the line it may become that way, but it's very difficult for Japanese. You know, they have a set on that also. And then, as far as the safety and then the hygiene is concerned, Japanese people, they have to have a mindset. You know, if they know it's really safe, they go along with it. If they know it's very risky, and they don't want to take the chance, you know, they just stay back. Yeah, we have to sort of like give them a safety. And another thing I wanted to mention for the groups will be very difficult because of the social distancing. You know, for example, if we have a group of 30, and then can you actually load all 30 of them in a big bus? No, because they have a standard with all the companies. It's not actually decided by the DOT as well. Right now, what I hear from many local operators, they're able to load only 14 or 15 in a 56 passenger bus. So it's going to be very costly for the travelers to come over here. And nothing is really set. So, you know, like the quotations that we offer to Japan right now, it's, you know, we have to mention that in the code, you know, that there will be probably a social distancing, and that the cost will go up. You know, you're gonna have to probably hire a second bus or the third bus, and hopefully, you know, that goes away so we can go back to norm. And it's gonna take quite some time, I think. Yeah.
And so a question just came in from Floyd in Colorado Springs, and it's kind of along the same lines as the social distancing and smaller groups on a bus. Attractions, small and large, are moving towards timed entrances. You know, so a group is going to get a timed entrance. How is that going to affect your groups as well? Is it more, would it make a timed entrance, does it make it more attractive to visit that attraction, or will they say, oh gosh, you know, let's do something else instead?
It's both actually, but I would say for the Japanese it's more difficult because, you know, you have to do everything in advance, right? And they like to make a lot of changes last minute. You know, working with group for so many years, I know how the habit of the Japanese organizers are. They want to say, oh, I want to change this, I want to change that. You know, I mean, sometimes we have to lock them a week before, but it's impossible if this, I mean, right now with the COVID policies that you have to do it in advance. It will be very difficult, I think. That's my opinion.
Yeah, and Toshi, do you think the same thing about timed entrances?
Basically, yes. I mean, as Romeo said, yes. Last minute changes always happen. So that's a difficulty. But at the same time, that's added service as a safety net.
Right.
You feel safer, and then that's better. So, well, like if you come to Los Angeles, people want to go to Disneyland, they want to go to Universal Studio. Now, currently, we're missing that. But if you have restrictions and if you follow the rules and if you feel safe, they're happy to come. So we
well,
have to
and,
see.
you know, Disney World is open here in Florida, but they've moved to time entrances for guests coming in. You have to choose a time. So and that might be the future that we're looking at into next year with your groups coming in.
Yes, maybe. Well, if there's a free time, and normally there was a free time, they chose where they want to go, but maybe so if there's time entrance, you cannot do that. That might affect the group. Yes.
So we've been talking about inbound quite a bit. Both of you do outbound, you know, to many destinations, mostly outbound from the U.S. back to Japan. I'm curious as to if those travelers that generally travel with you year after year going back to Japan are looking at domestic destinations now. Maybe that trip back to Japan isn't happening, but they're looking at other areas in the U.S. Has that travel shifted, or the request shifted since we're not really traveling right now?
Toshi-san, you might want to answer that.
Okay. 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 Yes. I mean, domestic. I think well, my customers in US, they tend to travel to Japan, but I think yes, when it's comes back, it starts with domestic. Currently, we are doing like sporting events. We're assisting staff who needs to go to sports venue in order to run the event. So that's very limited, but so as I should say, essential business is starting to come back. Maybe then the next is, as you asked, the travel is FIT might come back next, and then the group is what I'm assuming is going to happen. But obviously, yes, if rather than going out the country, I think domestic will come first. And then so, yes, so I think we need to make sure we can introduce as much USA good facilities, good destinations as possible. So that was the reason why I was trying to put this as my virtual. So
I like it.
Good places.
Lots of great places here to explore. So this kind of goes hand in hand with what you were saying with groups, you know, when business would come back, when MICE groups would come back. And this is a question from Casey. How will business travel MICE market be impacted from Japan? Are there self-imposed travel bans from Japan businesses? And when do you think business travel might recover? And that might be a Romeo question.
Can you repeat that again one more time,
Yes,
please?
absolutely. The question is, if there are self-imposed travel bans that Japanese businesses have put in place for travel to the US, the question was, when do you think business travel may recover from Japan to the US?
I'm guessing because, you know, nobody really knows because of the COVID spike. I'm just guessing maybe second quarter, gradually something will come back. I don't want to be, you know, very pessimistic, but I mean, I just want to be realistic. Sure. Because I don't see a decline in the new cases of COVID. So obviously, you know, the Japanese people right now, they're looking at short haul, which is like Asia, Guam, Saipan, Hawaii. And then I would say after that, Europe maybe, and then United States. I'm sorry, but I don't know. I just feel it's gonna be in that order.
Okay.
But I just wanted to, like I said, I just want to be realistic about it. I don't want to give everybody a high hope. But of course, I'm knocking on wood and that things come back to norm. Soon, the better. But with this COVID right now, it's very difficult. So we're just waiting for the vaccine. But doesn't mean that if you get the vaccine, everything's going to be answered. You know, because like I said earlier when I was talking to you, Sherry, we don't know the extent of this dangerous virus. You know, there's so many things that the doctors are saying. You know, there are symptoms that you don't even know that you have it. You know, and could pass on to some other people, right?
Right.
So yes, people are hoping that the vaccine will soon be out, so you know we could get back to norm. But answering your question, I would say maybe the earliest would be the second quarter of next year, 2021. Yes.
So we had another, oh, well, and real quick before I move on to this next question, we have attendees from Canada as well.
Oh,
So do you think Canada is in the same level with the US, or it might be before or even after?
well, being in the North America, I would say maybe they would be before us.
Yeah.
Yeah, it should be us, but you know they would be before us, I think.
Right. Okay. So another question about travel restrictions, and we're finding across the board it's hard to keep everything straight. So the question is, how are you managing with the various travel restrictions that different states are implementing that are separate from the federal government, and is that creating issues for you? You know, how are you gathering all of that information?
Well, we as NTA every week we update our office in Japan with what's going on here in the United States. You know, we call it a COVID current status of all the states, pretty much. Pretty much major cities, but all the states. You know, we try to gather the information every week. Actually, we submit that every Thursday. Today, actually. So yeah, we're pretty much aware of what's going on. It does kind of raise a question on Japan side, but you know, right now nobody's traveling out here, unfortunately. So you know, we're okay with that. But once they start to travel, we have to be more informative and more detailed, you know, with the information of the state. You know, and California is very obvious. Right now, we know Japan knows that, you know, their news is always updated. I watch NHK pretty much every day, and there's a lot of exaggeration, but you know, just to be safe, you know, they want to be safe, so they know that traveling out here is very, very risky right now. And plus, some states, you know, they have this 14-day quarantine, correct? Like Florida, 3 cities from New York are under that, correct? Yeah.
It seems like everything's changing daily or
I know
hourly
it is. That's why we have
on
to
new
be
implemented restrictions. Yeah.
right. Yeah. So on a CVB, you know, they're providing us information. We go into the link. Of course, the state has a link where you go in to get all those important informations. So we're constantly watching news, constantly listening to you know, the governor speak pretty much almost every day here in California. So we get the right information. So we can't send false informations. We can get in trouble for that. So we just make sure that the state has the right information, and we accumulate and we consolidate that information. We send to Japan every week. I'm sure Toshi, they do the same thing, and the other travel agencies as well.
Wonderful. And then Toshi, I was going to ask you the same question, you know, with all of the different restrictions, is that becoming a problem when you're quoting, you know, tours for next year?
Next year it could be, yes. But so far I haven't heard any problems with that.
Okay.
Because I think in the next year, the situation will change. So it's difficult to comment on what's going to happen and how the restriction is when they come next year. So, well, I'm taking those 14 days quarantines. I'm hoping that will be lifted as soon as possible. That it's everything. So with the 14 days quarantine, we cannot speak about traveling right now. So
right.
But yes,
we all hope the same as well. So we've been talking about tours and restrictions. We haven't talked about marketing yet, or incentives that may help when you're selling. You know, after You know, we talked, Romeo, you and I talked a little bit about swine flu, you know, and after things like this have happened, you know, 9/11 or swine flu or hurricanes that have come in, groups and individuals have looked for incentives, you know, and what types of incentives, whether it's extra hotel room nights or what works well in this market. Would anyone be looking for an incentive that would help you sell now that offices are open again?
Well, for groups, I think a lax in the cancellation policy, I would say. They always look at that, you know. Some states, some areas, the cancellation policy is very, very strict. I don't know if you call this a standard, but what the Japanese organizers are looking for is standard 30 days cancellation, you know. And anything off that is a 10% attrition. This is for the group, of course.
Sure.
I think that would be what would help a lot of groups to look at, because, you know, compared to the other destinations, Europe or Asia, they're more relaxed with their cancellation policies. US always has been a problem with this. Of course, you know, we have our own regulations that they have to go by, but I think that would help to boost and to bring business into the United States, other than the safety measures. And that's very important. Yeah, safety measure has to come first, no matter what. You know, you have to show the Japanese consumers that, oh, it is very safe to travel to the United States. You arrive to the airport, they check your temperature, you know, you go to a hotel, everything's clean stay, check your temperature again, always, you know, like hygiene. Yeah.
Right.
So I think those two are, for me, it's important, you know, to bring back the business for groups.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And Toshi, are there certain incentives or enticements that have worked with your clients from the market?
Not so far, but I agree with Romeo. On top of it, with the cancellation policy, like a non-refundable deposit is quite unusual for Japanese market. It's very light, more flexible in Japan. So, and as Romeo said, compared to Europe or other destinations, US is, I think, the most strict policy. So if that can ease, that's much, much better.
Wonderful. And we have another question that came in that kind of ties into what we're talking about. We've talked about enticements, and is there anything that we need to create to help you sell in the market? But this is a question about reinvesting to create interest in the Japanese market. What are the best marketing tools that we can use to influence interest in the market for US travel or North American travel? I mean, right now you have salespeople that are reaching out and you have requests from the organizer, but is there anything you're doing to market to those clients to get them interested in travel again?
Not so much, to be honest, but what we've done is we're doing like trainings. In our office in Japan, we're doing trainings, and then we've done training for sales to learn about destinations. And then we've, like a month ago, like in end of June, we've done that for like my staffs in the office, and then staff colleague from New York office explained about the current situation of the United States, each major cities, how they are coping with COVID or challenging for the safetiness, how we've done that. So something like that is, I think, a good thing that we have to make people know what's going on and what people are trying. And I think that will be the good promotion. Something like that. But that is like, well, it's the same with, I think, the guests hearing today, but I think rather than just waiting, you have to step out, right? And how you do that is quite difficult. But I think direct emails, like we've received from Walmart or other targets, as I said, how we do the COVID-19 policy, some blah, blah, blah. I think that's quite good. Rather than, well, because we are doing like tailor-made trips, we always ask for quotation. At that time, if the restaurants, hotels, other facilities or transportations give us that COVID-19 guidelines, that's good enough. But if you want to do something more, I think to step out, sending direct emails or something like that would, I think, be good.
Wonderful. And that made everybody on this call very happy because everyone's taken time and invested in creating trainings or webinars, things they can share, virtual fam trips or site inspections that they can share with trainings. So I'm sure everyone will be contacting you after the webinar to see if they can share those trainings with you and what format you would like them in. Romeo, have you been doing trainings or Shunji, have you been doing trainings with the employees or any type of webinar training, videos? What's really best for that?
I think, like as Toshi mentioned, it's very important to have an awareness, and the only way you can do it right now is through webinar,
Right.
online. Yeah, so yeah, I agree with what you're saying, to have that with our employees because they need to know what's out there and we need to inform Japan as much as possible. Like I mentioned earlier, of what's going on here in the US, every state has different things going on.
Yeah.
It's very hard, very difficult to tell you honestly to consolidate that, but we just kind of like pass on what information that we gather from each state to Japan so they know. But the five major cities that we send is of course California, Las Vegas, New York, Boston, Orlando. Yeah, those are the big cities that we send. So we try to be more informative of those cities. And of course, with the high spike of the corona new cases, we do mention that too, which states are really high, which states are low. So they are aware of those destinations too. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, you can schedule something like that. Maybe you can give us a heads up and, we can work on that with our employees here.
Wonderful. I love that. And I know everyone on the call loves it too. So I promised you that we'd be an hour, and I told you this hour would go by very quickly, and we only have 7 minutes left because I feel like we just started talking. So generally, we all work in the travel industry. All of us are used to traveling a whole lot more than we have been traveling lately. Let's wrap up the call. And my question to everyone at the end of this is, where do you want to go? When all of this is lifted and we can travel again, and you can't say back to Japan, Romeo, because you're going back there anyway. So where do you want to travel to? What's the vacation you want to take when all of this is over?
Oh, I would like to go to New York, East Coast. Yeah, I like East Coast, I mean, it's even domestic's like 6 hours, right? I mean, if you travel 6 hours in Japan, you go to another country. But here in the United States, you're able to travel within, domestic.
Well, I'm sure New York is ready for you to come visit as well. Toshi, where would you like to go when all of this is over?
I mean, I think national park
Mm.
in around like Zion or Yellowstone.
Wonderful.
I've been to quite some, but I think the great thing about America is that you can feel the earth in national parks. I
agree, they're beautiful and wide open spaces, which is nice.
Yes.
Shunji, where would you like to go when on a vacation when we can travel again openly and freely?
Yeah, actually, anywhere is okay because since I came to here, never go alone. So, first of all, I want to just go to Las Vegas first.
Wonderful.
And just see the new facilities there because the knowledge is not updated yet. So I want to visit many ways in this area.
Well, you are on the right call for gaining knowledge. Everyone on this call is going to make sure you're up to date on their destination and attraction. So last question, we have 5 minutes. Any words of wisdom Any words of wisdom for all of the suppliers on the call that are looking to create programs and terms and conditions, things that are going to help you get selling again? Any words of wisdom, Romeo? Last thought.
Okay. Well, my message, is just stay safe, hygiene, and stay vigilant, and then stay positive no matter what. I know something good out of this COVID is going to come out. I don't know how soon, but I pray to all of you that, it does happen soon. So, just have your hopes up. And I'm sure we're going to get out of this and we're all going to be happy at the end. And one other message I wanted to send to everyone is I just want to thank you again for all your support all these years. I've been here 14 years, a long time. And finally, I'm going to be joining my family back in Japan. And Shunji, who's my successor, I would like to ask everyone to give him your full support. And hopefully, we can send more customers over. So again, thank you very much, and stay safe. Thank you.
Wonderful. Toshi, any last thoughts, words of wisdom for our group here?
Okay, I'll try to make it short. Thank you for having me, everyone. Yes, I think 14 days quarantine is the key for traveling. And then I think it's the impression about US from Japanese, that's the point. So I like to ask everyone, I'm sure everyone is doing, but to wear masks. And that changes, I'm sure. Japan is doing well with COVID, US can do. What's missing is wearing masks. We have a custom, as Shunji-san said, we do wear masks, but we do always wash hands as well. So please wash hands, wear masks, follow the guidelines. Let's all of us do that. And then we say that to everyone we know. And I think that will quicken the 14 days lifting, quarantine lifting. So thank you very much.
Those are very wise words. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
And Shunji, any words of wisdom or last thoughts that you'd like to share with all of our attendees?
Yeah, actually, both Romeo-san and Toshi-san said, actually, Japanese most concerned thing is hygiene. So I think the U.S. the situation is going to be changed. I hope in soon, and yeah, that's all. Yeah.
Wonderful. And I thank you very much for that. And I think we've, and obviously on this call, flexibility and clear messaging and safety and cleanliness, all very important to your market. And I think all of our attendees on the call are ready to work with you and ready to get you information to help you market and promote so sales start coming in again. Thank you. It's 1:59. We have a minute left. I want to thank everybody for continuing to call in and stay connected with our industry. I think it's important what we're doing. And this gives us an opportunity to gain as much knowledge as possible as we move forward through recovery. Romeo and Toshi and Shunji, thank you for taking time and taking an hour out of your day to share with us. So we can learn a little bit more about the market and how we can work with your companies better. Romeo, we're going to miss you, but we wish you well. And Shunji, we welcome you with open arms. Thank you, and welcome. And Toshi, welcome to the U.S. as well. And we look forward to working more with you. Thank you again for joining us for the webinar. Next week, we'll be back and we're going to jump back into the domestic market, mix it up a little bit and talk to some operators there. But until then, stay safe, be well, and have a great weekend. Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you. Don't forget to wear a mask.
Mm.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Okay.